Guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a story titled, My 30-Year-Old Female Ex Wants to Be Back in My Life as a Friend Years Later, but I don't think I want anything to do with her. And guys, this is a story about a guy, he's about 30 years old, and he tells this tale about how when he was in college, he had this girlfriend that he was with for 3 years, and out of the blue, he comes home to their apartment they shared together to find her hooking up with some other dude. Okay, and as it turns out, she'd been cheating on him for 6 months, and that was the end of that relationship. And the guy went through some really bad depression and all that, but eventually, guys, life back together. And now, like about a decade later, he is now married to what he describes as a great girl who's really cool, supportive, and all that. Kid on the way, really happy. And out of the blue, the ex-girlfriend from college calls him up, leaves a message wanting to talk to him. And he has some friends that he still talks to that were from back in college, and they're trying to convince him that he should talk to her and all this stuff. And you're going to find out, obviously, she wants more than that. And he's pretty much wondering how he should handle this, how he should handle her. And, you know, guys, there are a lot of guys that follow me and just a lot of guys I come across that are on different stages in their journey, so to speak, of understanding things in just life, but also when it comes to women. And also how to be a man, have self-respect and all that. So sometimes when I read these stories and they ask questions that seem like should be pretty obvious how one should handle it, you know, and it's like, are you kidding me, dude? But I got to realize everybody's on their own path. So I'm going to go over this story here, guys. You're going to see the circumstances behind this. So that in case any of you guys find yourself in a situation like this with the ex come crawling back years later, you're going to handle it right. Because this guy's actually wondering what he should do. Even though we all know darn well, woman cheats on you and is having an affair for a long time and all that, pretty much she's toast. Okay, but this guy, obviously he's a nice guy. Classic nice guy. And he's not sure how he should handle it the best way. So, starting out, I really don't want anything to do with my ex, but I keep getting pressure from mutual friends that I should give her a chance to be back in my life as a friend now and that she's changed for the better. Sure, I'm glad she's better, but I don't think I want any kind of prolonged relationship with her. Thinking about going no contact with a lot of those friends, I'm not sure how else to proceed. Any thoughts or advice would be greatly appreciated. Sorry if this is long. Well, I'm going to say it right here. Who cares what his damn friends think? Do what you want to do. Guys, the difference between nice guys and bad boys, or nice guys and assertive, successful guys, nice guys put their needs first, and they don't care what anybody else thinks. If his gut immediately is, I don't want anything to do with this bitch, then that's that. Who cares what the friends say? But obviously this guy's a pleaser, and he's a typical nice guy. We all know what happens to nice guys. He says here, my ex, and he's going to refer to her as M, a 30-year-old female, and I dated in college for almost 3 years. We broke up because I caught her cheating on me red-handed with a guy in our apartment. I found out she had been cheating on me for at least 6 months. 6 months, guys. Damn. Imagine that. It wasn't entirely unexpected. In that time, I did see changes in her. I did suspect cheating in the back of my mind, but I wanted it to not be true bad enough to push those hunches away, I guess. I desperately tried talking with her about us, but she always said it was something else bothering her. Stress getting under her, etc. And she talked me out of worrying. I also found out later that the guy introduced her to some hard substances, and she eventually began using. Well, I don't care. You're cheating on me, you're cheating on me. I don't care if you're taking drugs or other substances, whatever it happened to be. That's on you. And notice, of course, she was denying it and saying, you know, she's not feeling well and she's under stress and there's all these other issues. And obviously, he shouldn't have to worry when in actuality, she'd have to worry. Well, this goes to show you what she's like. This is her character, okay? Instead of just breaking up with the guy, she stayed with him. Maybe because he paid the bills. Maybe because he was a guaranteed thing. Who the hell knows? And by the way, it does go both ways. Guys do cheat on great girls. Girls that are great to them, at least. And at the end of the day, best to just break up and move on. But that's nice, but that's just not how it works. So guys, as unfortunate as it is, you always have to keep your eyes open. You always have to be watching for things that don't quite add up. And usually where there's smoke, there's fire. You got to pay attention, guys. He goes on. She dropped out of school, found out from mutual friends that it was because her parents cut her off monetarily and she shacked up with the guy that she cheated on me with. Well, the karma's a bitch. Mom and dad cut her off money-wise, so she had to drop out of school. Too bad. I was completely no contact with her since the breakup. I was hurt a lot emotionally by everything and ended up struggling through some pretty deep depression and self-doubt. It was honestly the lowest point I've been at. A lot of that stemming from the fact that I was very much in love with M. Was even at the point where I was considering proposing after he graduated prior to everything happening and was saving up for the ring. Well, in the grand scheme of things, it actually turns out to be a good thing that he found this out before he actually proposed to her, because who knows what would happen. She may have gone along with it, or maybe she would have just ended it there. But at least then he didn't buy the ring, give it to her, because a lot of women think in their heads that the guy gives her the engagement ring and he proposes, that it's a gift and she can keep it even if she turns him down, or turns him down eventually, So at least he kept his money and didn't get involved with her any further than that, or got married to her, God forbid. He says, looking back, it was just a lot of me looking through rose-tinted glasses. Translation, he knew something was up, but he turned a blind eye because he obviously didn't want to really accept it. But given the fact that he's in college back then and he was young, he's inexperienced, so he can get a bit of a pass on here. But he was a 40-year-old man and making the same mistakes. That's a different ballgame. He goes on, cut to now, I'm happily married. My wife, he refers to her as a 28-year-old female, is amazing. Absolutely the best thing that has ever happened to me. We've been together for 5 years, married for 1.5. She's been an incredibly supportive partner and has helped me combat my self-doubt a lot. Still battle with sometimes, but I'm in a much better place now compared to 9 years ago. We're also expecting our first child. I've never been happier in my life. Well, you know what? If this guy's really happy and he's feeling good and he's got a good thing going with a cool wife, great. Now, I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt and say that maybe this guy, just maybe, is married to a girl that actually is pretty cool. And maybe his marriage could be one of the very small percentage of ones that actually turn out to be good. But remind you that he is, say, married for 1.5 years. That's nothing. 1.5 years is the honeymoon period. Come talk to me after about 5 years how great and cool she is. I mean, I don't want to be negative or too pessimistic, but knowing what I know, guys, and what you guys know, what I've read about and experienced and learned, 1.5 years into it's a bit early here. And the fact that he says that she's been a very supportive partner and helped him combat the self-doubt and self-esteem and all that, well, that's great. Again, as I've warned before, a guy's got to be very careful with letting the woman know about his fears, his insecurities, and his worries and all that, because eventually, it usually, actually, let me rephrase that, it will turn her off, okay, in varying degrees, okay? Some much more than others, because at the end of the day, women want the guy to be their rock. They obviously want a guy that he can feel that he can go to her and confide in her, but ultimately, she wants the guy to always have it together to be the rock, because at the end of the day, feminine women don't want to have to be the rock, the strong one. They want the guy to be the strong one. So therefore, they can actually stay in their feminine trait. But notice when women have to be the strong ones in the relationship, they all of a sudden start taking on these very masculine behaviors. And feminine women don't like having to be masculine because it's not their true natural essence. Just going to point that out there. But if he's got a good thing going, good for him. He's definitely earned it after what he went through when he was younger. I hope it stays that way. But he's got to handle himself well and play his cards right if he wants to make what he has right now continue over the years. Just need to mention that. Continues. Well, about 2 months ago, I got a call from a number. I didn't recognize it, and they left a message. It was M. 9 years later, the ex comes crawling back. The message was essentially her asking me to give her a call so we could talk. Apparently, she got my number off one of my mutual friends, or our mutual friends, T. I immediately talked to T, and I was very angry at first because T knew exactly what I've been through with that breakup, and she gave M my number, no question, without even asking me or anything. I found out that T and M had been through rehab for her substance abuse. She had moved back closer to our area, and she was trying to mend fences, and that I should hear her out. It's none of T's business. But I'm willing to bet you, since they were both in rehab together and this girl's reaching out to him, this is probably part of like a 10 or 12-step program to help her get her life back on track, where she's reaching out to the people that she really hurt earlier in life. I've a family member that went through this. I understand this, So perhaps to make her maybe by some chance a better person, have her shit together, she's got to do this. Who knows? But that's probably what's going on. With that in mind, I decided to give M a call back. I wouldn't have done it. I mean, maybe if M called me back, if the girl called me and I happened to catch her on the phone, I may speak briefly and say, hey, it's been 9 years. You really hurt me, all that stuff. That was uncool. But hey, I don't want to be friends. I don't want to talk. I'm done. But that's just me. But this guy obviously talks to her. He says, I made up my mind before talking to her that I really didn't want any kind of prolonged contact with her, but I figured if talking to me was somehow part of her recovery process, that I would try at least talk to her. I also told my wife about everything that's going on. A, his wife, and I had a long talk about it and went over how we both felt about the situation. I told my wife I think I should at least call M, but really didn't want to do anything more than that, as I wanted to focus on her and growing our family. Yeah, dude, don't screw up what you have now with this girl that you think is pretty great and is treating you pretty great just so you can do this duty and talk to the ex that did that horrible thing to you to help her on her recovery process. That's very nice and noble, but if there's any possibility that could cause friction and problems with your wife, don't do it. That's stupid. And frankly, after what she did to you, she doesn't really deserve it. Anyhow, he says, A was totally understanding. Em and I talked on the phone for a while. She apologized for everything. The cheating, the lies, all of the above. I accepted her apology and said I was glad she was doing better, because I genuinely am. We talked about our lies up to that point a bit. I didn't tell her everything, but she does know I'm married. Toward the end of the conversation, she said she'd eventually like to be friends again and asked if I wanted to meet up for coffee or something. I politely declined. Good. And I said, I'm glad she's on the way to healing, but I don't think I want any kind of relationship or any type of friendship or relationship with her. We said our goodbyes and hung up. Well, good for this guy. Now he needs to stand by this, okay? But look, after what happened, no, there's not going to be a friendship or relationship. Bullshit. This guy did enough by actually talking to her, which I'm convinced is probably part of her recovery process, the 10 or 12-step program. Okay, he spoke to her. She apologized. That's very nice, by the way. And he says, okay, the past is the past. He forgave her, move on, but that's it. No being friends, because I wouldn't trust her. I wouldn't trust her to try to screw up a situation now with the wife. In the time since, M has not contacted me, but I've gotten messages and calls from T, as well as other people both M and I know, saying that it's been so long and that I should try and rebuild some kind of friendship with my ex. Bullshit. The dude's married now. He's got a good thing going. That's what it seems. Why should he then become friends with the girl that cheated on him and all that? Okay? She's out. Okay? No way. And again, it's not the friend's place to say. It's none of their goddamn business. But again, I've warned you guys what happens when you hang out with people that be careful who you spend your time with. Be careful of the people you keep in your closest group of friends. Because if they're people that are not exactly the best type of people, they're going to try to sabotage you. I'd like to know if some of these people are actually in good relationships themselves. I'd like to know if they're envious of his situation and maybe on some level trying to sabotage it. I know it sounds very cynical and very negative, guys, but I've lived long enough to understand what people are like, or how a lot of people can be like. So who gives a shit what his friends have to say? It's his choice. It's his business. This guy's obviously a nice guy. And I say a nice guy also in the definition the way a woman would describe as a nice guy. And he's probably a people pleaser. But if he was different, he'd say it's none of your goddamn business. Mind your own business or fuck off, which he should do. He says, I just don't want that. I just want to focus on my family and not dredge anything else up from the past. I've tried to express that to anyone who's talked to me about this situation. Some understand my position, some still persist. Who cares about them? Try to line this in, say, it's over, you bring this up, we're not hanging out anymore, end of story. It's none of your goddamn business, people. I'm honestly just thinking about going full, no contact, and blocking people who keep trying to push myself and M together. There's an idea. Any advice how I could proceed otherwise, or if that is the right choice? Should I give her a second chance to be back in my life in some capacity? No, dude. No. You talked to her. You let her say her piece. You forgave her. let her recover. That's it. She's not back in your life, okay? And again, you got a good situation with your wife. Don't fuck it up. But obviously these people are in his head, and they're obviously friends with the ex. After 9 years, that's hard to imagine. Screw them. It's time to start cutting people out of your life. That's what I think. Cut them out. And he goes on, referring to, because he posted this and he got some comments. He says, "Thank you for all the advice and thoughts. I didn't expect all those responses, but I took this time this morning to read through them all. After reading them, as well as talking with my wife about it again, I've decided I need to stick with my guns and that my original instincts were correct. My plan moving forward is to try and establish clear boundaries one final time with T and anyone else who needs them, and explain one final time exactly why I do not want M in my life. And I just need to cut out anyone who does not respect that. Again, thank you for all the time to read and respond to my post. I really appreciate that." Okay, if it took him having to hear other people say it, that's fine. But bottom line is, situation like this, and if any of you guys find yourself in a situation like this, who cares what the friends say? You do what works best for you, okay? Put yourself first, your wants, your needs first, okay? If you're going to do everything to make everybody else happy, you're going to be in for a world of shit throughout your life. You're going to be a doormat. Don't be that guy. Put yourself first. And if it means that you got to cut people out of your life that don't respect your boundaries and what you want, so be it. Because guess what? You can always make new friends. It's better to have no friends than to have shitty friends trying to sabotage you in your life. But at the end of the day, we can all have, if typically, at least for me, I got a handful of really good, close friends that I know I can absolutely trust, have my back, and that is all you really need, honestly. You do not need people that are going to try bullshit and manipulation and try to sway you in certain ways to make them happy. And again, I seriously question whether those people, if they're very happy with their lives and they're trying to sabotage him. I know it's cynical, I know it's negative, but you got to question these things. I've lived long enough and experienced long enough to understand and see through a lot of the bullshit that goes on. In all these stories I do. So anyway, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.